The old 22 Plinker, the old beater. This is just a little Smith and Wesson 22A. I wouldn't call it a little, that's just a full-size firearm. 5.5-inch barrel, 22 long rifle. Now this is like the Rugers and like the Browning Buckmark. It's only got the half slide, half reciprocating slide, which obviously helps with the 22. This one is a very well used, was bought second hand, if not third or fourth hand, I don't know the history. So it's got a fair bit of wear marks on it, a lot of usage, some of the bluing coming off, but it functions absolutely perfectly. Great little firearm, super accurate. I have painted the front sight just to give a better sight picture, because black on black on black obviously is fairly hard to pick up. Now that really is a very long rail when you compare it to a 5-inch pistol. Let me just bring something else to compare it to. Compare it to a mirror. A full-size 2011. And look at the sight radius. It's a big difference. There's a good best part of 2 inches sight radius difference there. So this here would definitely be a target gun. More target than anything else. Apart from just general plinker. And it's a great plinker. Really good fun. The trigger on them is fantastic. Obviously you don't dry fire 22s. It's got very much similar grip angle to a 1911. It's got the very basic little safety here, mag release, sorry, the slide release there. Safety is very small, and it actually goes up and forward, which is a little bit awkward sometimes. You generally expect it to go up and back. This one goes up and forward. To be honest, never really used it. The only way I can really use it is to really catch it with my knuckle and push it up and pull it down. Pulling it down, it comes off perfectly easily. But putting it on is more of a left-hand operation. Trigger-wise, as we said, I'm not going to pull it, but it is a very nice little trigger. If I lock the slide back, there's no movement, barely at all. The trigger movement's only about that much. And it's very light, very crisp, which definitely allows it to be very accurate. They do have adjustable rear sight. The rear blade moves. It does have the open both sides ejection port, and when this came into my hands, there was quite a big chunk. You might be able to see the line there across the barrel feed ramp. Quite a big chunk out of it, so I've given that a good polish. You can still see the scratch out of it, but it doesn't grab on it anymore. Now this one has these have the interesting mag release in the middle here. So I guess you could call it ambidextrous. Just hit it with your middle finger or left hand middle finger. Okay, works very easily. Once you're used to it, you don't actually have to break your grip. You can keep your hand exactly the same spot, and I just get it with my middle finger, bang, and it ejects straight out. Now, as far as the takedown on these, it is super easy. This is the huge advantage, in my opinion, of the Smith and Wesson 22A over something like the Ruger 2245 or Mark II, Mark III series. They, as you more than likely will know, are an absolute pain in the bum to take down. This one is literally as simple as, for me, hook my finger in there. Yes, I have to point it at myself or point it away, but I know it's completely empty. Push on the button, and up comes the whole thing. Unfortunately, the slide has grabbed. Just bear with me 1 second. It's easy to do it with the slide lock back. Unlock the front, and up comes the slide. There's a tiny little recoil spring, little bumper. The recoil spring is on the back of the firing pin, and that is the whole slide there. They can be a little bit fiddly to get this all back together, so I'm not going to pop this one off. It can be a bit of a pain in the bum. Now this one, as we said, it has done a lot of work. There's quite a lot of wearing in here, and the eagle-eyed of you that know this gun may have noticed the rear tab has actually broken off. I did a lot of reading and research into this, and apparently it's very common. This is obviously an earlier 22A. In the later ones, this was changed. That is about the original size profile of the casting on the late model and current ones, but there's actually a pinned metal hook that comes around the front here, and is the same profile as this would have been, that quite simply just hooks into the back of the slide here. Now, it doesn't do anything for the firearm other than hold the rear of the slide down. All of the action, all of the recoil, not that there is any, is all through this pin system here. So once it's all back together, you still hook it in, it just grabs. Once it's all back together, it's absolutely no difference. There's no movement. The rear doesn't change. Nothing happens any different to if it had that tab on there. So when you pull the slide back, there's absolutely no extra movement. The slide moves, but there's nothing any different. That is so rigid into that pin there. And that's the takedown of a Smith and Wesson 22A. Lock the slide back, thumb in there, finger in the trigger, press the button with your thumb, and off it comes. And that is basically takedown. Clean it, chuck your snake through there, and give it a wipe out. Super, super simple. Now, when I first started shooting, this is one of the first firearms I use. And pretty much everyone that I knew when I first started shooting that competed in NRA or the more target-orientated pistol sports were using a Smith and Wesson 22A. At my gun club, that is. Very few people were using a Ruger. A couple of people had a Browning Buckmark, but most people had a Smith and Wesson 22A. And the takedown procedure and how easy it is was the main reason why they were using a 22A. Don't have any of that fiddling around in the back of the backstrap, releasing the slide and all that kind of stuff that the Rugers have. As far as these goes, they're extremely accurate. Probably not as accurate as maybe your Browning Buckmarks, maybe your 2245s, but it's certainly more accurate than me. The front sight is quite fat. I wouldn't exactly call it a target sight. I'd call it more of a plinking sight. But when you think about it, that's long slide. It is a long way away from the rear sight. So if it was too skinny, you wouldn't see it. It would be so far away. That being, as we showed before, so much longer than a full-size 5-inch slide firearm. It's 2 inches longer. Great little gun. I have put predominantly really cheap, crappy ammo through it. The Remington bucket of bullets. Those are a very slow firing powder. So as a result, there's a lot of unburnt residue that comes out both sides when firing. And you quite often get some sparks coming out, which is obviously powder still burning. The negative, in my opinion, of having the open port both sides is you do get splatter coming, unburnt powder coming out of here onto your support hand, coming out of here onto your support hand. Not such a problem on your right hand because most of it's coming with the projectile ejecting case. This side I tend to get it on my arm and my hand. Doesn't have cause any issues other than obviously it can burn a little bit. And if you're going to burn through a couple of hundred of them or something like that, it could get a little bit annoying. Using more premium ammunition, CCI, or even your Federal bulk pack, I don't get that at all. No issues as far as unburnt powder coming out each side. I have noticed using the Remington bucket of bullets, there is quite a bit of pitting appearing around the barrel breech there. I would say that is from that slow burning powder continuing to burn and essentially melting itself into the back of this slide, into the front of the bolt face and the breech face. But to be honest, that's why this pistol exists for me, is it's just a plinker, get rid of some old ammo that I don't use, and enjoy it. I unfortunately only have one magazine for it, so a little bit of a nuisance. Magazines are $70, which is rather expensive for me for just a little plinker ammo burner. If they were in the $20 or $30 range, in America they're probably only $19 or something ridiculous, I would get several. Being $70 here, I haven't worried about it. But I am a big Smith and Wesson fan. I love my M&P. You should have seen my M&P videos. I run IPSC with my M&P pretty much every weekend. Really can't fault it. And this is a great little Smith and Wesson as well. Alright guys, Smith and Wesson 22A, 5.5-inch slide, 22 long rifle, Plinkamatic.